The first advanced stat that we're going to get into is value over replacement, or VORP, if you've ever heard of that. I'm going to read you the definition. A box score estimate of the points per 100 team possessions that a player contributed above a replacement level. And it references itself. I'm not crazy about VORP. A replacement level player is -2 VORP. So this would be the average bench player. Weird, right? So translated to an average team and prorated to 82 games. So averaged out a player and what they contribute versus a guy coming off the bench. What they wanted to do, this came from baseball. This came from I think it was called WAR rating in baseball, because baseball got nerdy. Moneyball came out. Michael Lewis he published Moneyball, and then they made a movie, and it became hot. Math guys thought that they could be relevant in sports. They could be jocks now. They could have an impact on a sports team. I'm a nerd too. I got into it. I'm reading you advanced stats. I dig it, but I do feel like we don't talk about this as much anymore. I don't know how well this video is going to do. So, here's how we would think about this. Per 100 team possessions. A game typically has 100 possessions per team. So if they played the whole game, Nikola Jokic would score 9.8 more points than a rando coming off the bench. And here's what's confusing to me. When I made these, so my example for the good is Jokic. My example for the bad is Bub Carrington. Now listen, I don't want to shit on Bub Carrington. I don't want to do that. Here's the thing. The redeeming quality of Bub Carrington. I said every player had to play over 60 games and play 15 minutes a game. So, were there players with worse VORP than Bub Carrington? I don't know, because I didn't even look. I didn't even care. I didn't want to go looking at these players with -45 VORP because they played 7 minutes and had 4 turnovers. I didn't want to do that. The all-time leader, and this is what I find kind of fascinating. Value over replacement, the all-time leaders, it's cumulative over their whole careers. So, if you played in the league for a long time and you've been very good in the league, you're going to have a very large VORP. The problem with playing for a very long time, LeBron could lose some of those VORP points. So I think that's why when you're looking at all-time VORP, it's not an average of season to season. They made it a cumulative, because in theory, let's say LeBron just LeBron just doesn't want to give up the ghost, dude. Let's say he's just like, I'm not retiring. He just ring chases to the max, plays for 10 more years, but he's sort of sucking ass. He could lose VORP. He could move down, theoretically, but he probably won't. So I think LeBron James is going to have the highest value of a replacement for the end of time. It sucks that LeBron sort of ruined all-time stats for us, didn't he? He's just going to sort of have everything and nobody's going to break it. And they're also not even going to come close to breaking it. It was like Tom Brady when he got 7 rings. And I remember Cousin Sal on Bill Simmons' podcast. I call him Bill like I know him. He said, it sucks because we'll probably be dead by the time anyone even comes close to this guy's legacy. But Patrick Mahomes is on pace, which is pretty cool. So maybe, I'd never say never. Maybe someone's going to outdo LeBron. Maybe someone's going to get more points than LeBron total. Maybe they'll start letting high school kids play in the NBA again. Or, fresh out of high school kids. We got to move on. We've been on that slide for too long. We have a lot. Player efficiency rating is the OG advanced stat. And here's a measure of per minute production standardized such that the league average is 15. So this is kind of nice. I've explained, this is probably though, I've probably explained this 30 times on this show, but the most average player in the league is 15 PER. Think about it this way. Player efficiency rating, there will never be a season where there's more. It's however many players are in the league times 15, okay? So there will never be a season where everyone's PER is higher. Everyone is measured against themselves. I put in the context, I put the formula in there. Look at that formula. That's ridiculous. Look at this. I don't even know what VOP is. But it's a crazy formula. So don't even go for it. Go look at the formula. Try to make sense of that. Basically, some dork, it might have been John Hollinger, made this formula, this calculation, and said, this is how we measure efficiency in basketball. And really how you judge it is you sort of work backwards. You sort of take the best players in the league that you already know, and then you come up with a formula that validates that those players are the best players in the league. Like Nikola Jokic. Oh, hey, Nikola Jokic is on top of my formula? I guess it's pretty good. Gabe Vincent, the worst. I hate to do it to him, but Gabe, even... Oh, you know what? I wanted to show value over replacement. The gifts make sense because these are guys on the bench. That's where that came from. Player efficiency rating. Sorry, Gabe. Wilt Chamberlain had the second best player efficiency rating of all time. Jokic beat it. So Wilt's second best had the record until 2022. Best PER season of all time. Jokic beat it in 21-22. Just thought that was fun. I think Jokic is the GOAT. Spicy. I know. Turnover percentage, a percentage of plays that end in a player or team's turnover. Now, it's a little bit tricky because it's kind of like usage, all right? So a field goal attempt, a free throw attempt, or a turnover. That's the play ending. Does that make sense? That's you turning the ball over, you getting to the free throw line, or you shooting a shot. So Sam Hauser, most of the time, isn't turning the ball over. He has the best turnover percentage because usually it's not a turnover, it's a free throw or a field goal when the play ends with him. So it's a little bit of a mix. I haven't got to usage rating yet, but when the play ends with you, how often is it a turnover? There it is. How often, when the play ended with you ended the play, how'd you end it? With a turnover, your turnover percentage goes up, my friend. Oh, you shot the ball? Guess what? Your turnover percentage goes down. The thing is, it could be a missed shot. So you may have a low turnover percentage, but you might just have a ton of bricks. Something to think about. And the all-time leader for turnover percentage was not Kendrick Perkins, but he was second. And I didn't recognize the name of the guy who had the worst turnover percentage of all time. So I thought it would be fun to mention someone we all know and love, Big Perk. Hate to do it to him, but kind of like to shit on Big Perk. I like to make fun of him. I don't know why. Plus minus, the point differential when a player or team is on the floor. You know this. This is like a very important stat, and especially when you're watching game to game. I don't know how much you watch basketball, how much you look at box scores. At the very end of the player's row, on the box score, it's going to show plus minus, which is how many points were scored by the team while they were on the floor. Then you subtract how many points the other team scored. So this is the average of all the players' games plus minus. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, on an average night, while he's on the floor, the team got 12 more points than the other team did. Unfortunately for Kuz, the team scored about 5 more points while he was on the floor versus when he wasn't. So if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you're kind of like, well, you really shouldn't put Kuzma in there because the other team scores more than he's putting baskets in. Now, in Kuz's defense, he is a starter, so while he's out there, he's playing against the most skilled unit on the other team. But there's really no excuse for it. Now, I found this interesting. When you look at all-time leaders and plus minus, they use cumulative stats too. And I like this because it can be negative and it can be positive. So I think that's what makes this interesting. It's like, why make this average when it's a running tally that can be positive or can be negative? So the most points, the all-time differential while Tim Duncan has been on the floor, the points his team has scored versus the points his opponent has scored is 8,910. Tim Duncan takes the lead. I've been doing a lot of Tim Duncan glazing this week. If you haven't watched the What Slaps channel video and you like a little Duncan glaze, head on over after you watch this. Unless you're watching right now in real time as soon as I release, then you got to wait like 20 minutes. Pace. So, pace, the number of possessions per 48 minutes for a team or player. Now, I don't really know why they extrapolate in different increments, because typically we do per 36. A lot of times for like per 36 stats, hey, we're talking advanced stats. I'm mansplaining advanced stats to you. I think that's what I'm going to actually title the video, is mansplaining NBA advanced stats. I think I'm going to do it. So it's weird that for pace, for some reason, we do per 48. So Scottie Pippen, while he's on the floor, if he were to play 48 minutes, the Grizzlies would have 105 possessions because he plays so fast. Now, Luke Cornett, let's say he played all 48 minutes. I don't know what type of context that would be, but Luke Cornett, you'd only have 95 possessions. He moves slower. And what's fascinating about this is the Bulls and the Grizzlies, those players have a way faster pace. The slowest team in the league is the Boston Celtics. They have the slowest pace. So remember what I said. A lot of stats are per 100 possessions because the average amount of possessions both teams have is 100. So that kind of makes sense. Scottie Pippen Jr., he's getting 105 possessions versus Luke Cornett getting only 95. It's pretty interesting. And being fast doesn't necessarily mean anything. It may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. So Russell Westbrook had the fastest season of all time. In 2020 and 2021, that was his Wizards season. He was moving the ball down the floor quick. Kind of interesting. Again, pace. Who cares? Who really cares? This isn't to be fast is not to be good. A guy told me once, slow is steady and steady is fast. Do you know the context? It was wrapping silverware at a restaurant I worked at. I don't know why, but that guy was so nice to me. I was new there, and he was showing me in the, your side duty was to wrap the silverware. And I was going slow, and he said, slow is steady, steady is fast. He was so nice. I was so comfortable around him. I was so uncomfortable at that restaurant, but he was so nice to me. I love that guy. Rebound percentage. The percentage of available rebounds, I love that, a player or team grabbed while on the floor. So available rebounds just means rebounds. Somebody rebounded the ball. And this was actually a part of the definition, is a rebound. If it's an offensive rebound, no, actually I take it back. This was part of another definition. But of all the rebounds that happened, how many did you scoop up? And I thought this was kind of interesting. All these are either on NBA stats or they're on basketball reference stats. So you can get into these. They're fun to look at. So there's also on NBA, they have contested rebound percentage, which is a little more indicative of rebounding skill because some are uncontested. They don't have stats for uncontested. They don't have those listed, and I wish they did. I wish they had uncontested rebounds so you could see who's sort of stat padding. That'd be really fascinating. But leading the league in contested rebounds, Nikola Jokic. Who'd have thought? And then Sabonis is getting 22%, 22.4%. He leads the league in rebound percentage while he's on the floor. He's getting 22% of the rebounds. That's offensive or defensive. So don't disrespect Sabonis. I'm Sabonis' number one defender. So all the Sabonis haters, take a second and eat my shorts. Proverbially eat my shorts. Feel that. Yeah. And then Gabe Vincent is only getting 3.4% of the rebounds. I hate to say it. There's more disparagement of Gabe Vincent to come. And I like him. I think he's hot. He seems nice too. So the all-time leader for rebound percentage is Andre Drummond, which is crazy. You think, and he always has a really high rebound percentage. Even now as the backup big for the Sixers, he still rebounds a lot. And I do watch a lot of Sixers games, and then I also listen to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. They hate Drummond, and I gotta say, when I watch him out there, I'm like, yeah, this guy is so useless out there, but man, does he rebound a lot. So when you're looking at the box score and you see all these rebounds from Drummond, there's part of you that says we can't give up this guy. He had a player option, so he opted in. It's not like you could have got rid of him, but when you see him, you think, man, he has to, all these rebounds, we got to keep this guy. But if you watch him, you say, let the other team rebound it. We got to get this guy off the floor. He sucks. True shooting percentage, this is one you've heard of. This is the one you've been dying to understand. So, a shooting percentage that factors in the value of 3-point field goals, free throws, in addition to conventional 2-point field goals. And it's a little bit tricky. So you take the total points of the player, and then you take the field goal attempts, and then you add the free throw attempts, but you multiply them by 0.44 because they're not as valuable. I can't fully, in my head, look at this and make sense of it. But it makes sense because the more points you have, that would factor in the fact that 3-point shots are worth more. So what this is attempting to do is show your field goal percentage, because your field goal percentage is going to go down if you're shooting a lot of threes, because 3-point shots are factored into your field goal percentage. So what this attempts to do is sort of give the guys that shoot a lot of threes more credit for taking higher difficulty shots. Ironically, the guys that have the best true shooting percentage are big men, you know? Chris Murray, Keegan Murray's brother, if you didn't know, he has the worst true shooting percentage in the league. Jared Allen, number one. Does Jared Allen shoot 3-pointers? Never. Like 4 a season. Literally like 4 a season. All-time leader, true shooting percentage? Your boy. You love him. You might hate him. Rudy Gobert. He's got to be, I've already done a What Slaps video on Rudy Gobert and how nobody likes him, but I think I might just do it again. Here's the beauty about being a YouTuber. You can do the same video twice if you wait 2 years. You can just run back the same video, just take the same theme, run it back. 2 years is enough time for people to completely forget a video. Just a tip. Effective field goal percentage, another percentage to sort of... Oh, what I should have said, it also factors in free throw attempts. So it sort of wants to factor in your full shooting capabilities for true shooting percentage. I think I already did effective field goal percentage, kinda. Because effective field goal percentage is just it's your field goal percentage and then also taking into account the fact that 3-pointers are worth more. So let's look at this formula. Field goals made plus 3-pointers made times 0.15. Because those field goals made, your made 3-pointers are already in there. So it's giving you a little boost for those field goals that were 3-pointers. And then you divide it by the full attempts. So Jackson Hayes, again, these weighted field goal percentages are an attempt to give these 3-point shooters more cred, and they don't do that. They end up just giving tons of cred to the, down low, 2 feet away from the basket guys, the big dunkers. So it kind of makes you think, is it more effective for twos? I suppose it is. I suppose the best shot in basketball is a layup, the most effective. But I guess they're hard to come by, a shot right by the basket. So these players, while they might be taking very effective shots because they're really close, they don't get as many of them. So DeAndre Jordan, greatest effective field goal percentage of all time. I also believe DeAndre Jordan still has the highest field goal percentage of all time. I believe he still has it. If he doesn't have it, maybe Daniel Gafford took it from him, but I think DJ still has it. Good for him. Assist ratio. Now, let me talk to you about this one. I actually don't think this is a good stat. I'm kind of considering just skipping right through it. But it does show up. If you go to the NBA Advanced Stat Leaders, it's one that it showcases. So the NBA is very proud of assist ratio, even though I don't think the NBA really knows what it means. So assist ratio is the number of assists a player averages per 100 possessions used. Now here's where it's tricky. The possessions, that's the NBA definition. But if you go to the ESPN definition, what it's saying is, instead of the 100 assists, it's saying, instead of saying the possessions that the player has or the team has, it's saying field goal attempts, free throw attempts, assists, and turnovers. So basically, how many times when the play ended with you, per 100 possessions, was it a turnover? It's very similar to turnover percentage. It just sort of ends up being a different number. You know what, guys? Throw it out. It doesn't matter. When someone starts talking to you about assist ratio, you say, shut up. Shut up. And you start talking about turnover percentage. Let's talk about turnover percentage. That's what you say to them. You tell them to shut the fuck up about assist ratio. Now, this is one of my favorites. Usage percentage. I believe all time Michael Jordan has the highest usage percentage. And it sort of goes back to what we were talking about. The percentage of a team's plays used by a player when they are on the floor. I hate that they say used. It should say the percentage of possessions that end with a player. Because that's the real definition. They say used, like you're supposed to know what that means. How often were they used? Well, I mean, I guess if you had the ball during the possession, you were used. What used means is, did the possession end with you? Because if we look at the formula, field goal attempt, a possession ending free throw, or a turnover divided by possessions. So, how often did the play end with you? And it's another way to think about it is, how many of the plays were ran for your ass? How many of the plays were at the beginning you said, this is going to you. It's going to end with you. You're going to have the option to get a free throw, shoot a field goal, or you could turn the ball over. So Giannis, 34.6% of the Bucks' possessions ended with Giannis. And he did a lot of good stuff when he ended the possession. Ooh, I got to slow down. And Nicholas Batum, 8.7. So if you're looking at a role player, if you're looking at a dirty work guy, it's Nicholas Batum. He is not touching the ball. Nobody draws up a play for Nicholas Batum. That is an afterthought. 8.7 is that many of while he's on the floor. That's when he gets a play run for him. And he never gets a play run for him. This is just happenstance. He happens to be open and drill a three. That's what I love about Nicholas Batum. He doesn't even care. He's running down the floor already knowing, I am not getting the ball. The ball, if things go to plan, I don't get the ball. Somebody else scores. If things go awry, I might get the ball. I might get an open three. So just because you have a high usage percentage doesn't mean you're good. And just because you have a low usage percentage doesn't mean you're bad. Russell Westbrook, 2016 and 2017, 41.65% of the Oklahoma City Thunder's plays ended with Russ. Is that good? Is it bad? I should have put his stats up here. We could have looked. Go do it yourself. I'm already tired from talking. Go do it. Say, man, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they should have used some other people. They should have got Kevin Durant in there. Because, no. Kevin Durant was in Golden State. 2016 is when he went. So that's OKC. Billy Donovan didn't really know what to do after KD left. So they're like, oh, wow, KD's left. What do we do with his possessions? And then Russ says, ooh, I'll take all of them. And then they let him do it. And he won the MVP that year, correct? I think that was his year. Yes, it was. I think. Yes. Because Harden was 2018. I don't know. Okay. This is another great assist and turnover stat. The number of assists and turnover. And it's very simple. It's very easy to understand. We can kind of blow through this slide. The number of assists for a player or a team, again, these stats sort of can apply to a team as well if you want to, but we're just talking players. So the number of assists for a player compared to the number of turnovers. Look at this little formula. Take the assists, divide them by the turnovers. So Tyrese Halliburton, 5.61. So I think he was averaging about like 10 assists a game, maybe 2 turnovers, something like that. My math's not great, but roundabout. Versus Zach Edey, good player, don't get me wrong. Great rebounder, but when it comes to how many assists he got, wasn't a lot. When it was coming to how many turnovers he got, it was more, because his ended up being a fraction. An irrational number. Is that an irrational number? Is a number less than 1 irrational? Haven't taken a math class in 20 years. No, I took a math class in college. It's not true. All-time leader, though, Magic Johnson. Now, look at the chart, though. Look at the all-time leaders. Tyrese Halliburton, in a couple years, if he keeps getting 5.61 assist to turnover ratio seasons, he might take the power from Irvin Magic Johnson. So, I like that stat. It's fun. Now, defensive rating. The number of points allowed per 100 possessions. Again, why do we do 100 possessions? Because that's the average possessions a team has. So, for a player, it is the number of points per 100 possessions that the team allows while that individual player is on the court. So the other team has 100 possessions. How many points does that other team score? So you want a low number for this. Isaiah Joe, 104.1. Again, doesn't play as much, so it's extrapolated if Isaiah Joe played the entire game and he never got tired. The other team would only score 104 points versus Keontae George. The other team would score 122. And, we got to keep in mind when we're looking at these advanced stats, Keontae George is on a bad team. So it's not like this is entirely on Keontae George. If you look at the people that have the worst defensive rating in the league, a lot of Utah Jazz players are on there, but Keontae just happens to be the worst defender on the worst defensive team in the league. Sorry, Keontae. Numbers don't lie. Listen. Women lie. Men never lie. Tim Duncan, best defensive rating of all time. Again, this is an average for the career. Men do lie, by the way. Men lie way more than women. Tim Duncan, 95.77. So this is the third best defensive rating in the league. Why did I choose the third best defensive rating? Because the other two were names I didn't recognize. They were guys from like the 70s, and basketball was a different sport before 1992. I don't know. I'll just tell you, I ain't watching ABA highlights for fun. That's the truth. Offensive rating, measures a team's points scored per 100 possessions on a player level. This statistic is team points scored per 100 possessions while they are on the court. What this means is, while the player is on the court, if they were extrapolated to playing the whole game and never get tired, if they played 100 possessions, how many points would their team score? Okay, so if Jokic played the entire game for the Denver Nuggets and he was on steroids, he was smoking crack, he was methed out, he was zooted, his muscles didn't get tired, he would score, his team, the Nuggets, would score 125 points. Okay. Versus Alex Sarr, if he was on crack for the entire game, or meth, Adderall, you understand, the Wizards would only score 102.7 points. So, again, this stat doesn't really have anything to do with drugs. It just sort of helps with the metaphor. So, because it's a hypothetical situation where a player is playing 100 possessions. And the greatest offensive rating of all time, I found this so surprising, is Jarrett Allen. And I fact-checked this. I checked my homework. You can look it up yourself. Greatest offensive rating of all time, average, is Jarrett Allen. I ain't playing with you. Dude, I'm getting tired. I went to a Coheed and Cambria concert the other night, and I sang a lot. I sang really loudly because they were loud, and I wanted to hear my own voice so I could sing in key, and blew my voice out. So I got 2 more slides, I believe. Net rating, simple. You take the offensive rating in 100 possessions on crack. I got to stop saying on crack. It's not joke. Drugs are serious. 100. So your offensive rating, however many points you would have scored in 100 possessions, and then you subtract the defensive rating. Okay. So basically, if it's positive, did you help your team win? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 16.7. While he's on the floor, helps his team win by 16 points. Bob Carrington, on the other hand, if he's on the floor, he's contributing to his team losing by 15 points. So, again, these are a little bit skewed because the team is bad in general. So really what this is, really what you're looking for, we can't really judge Bob Carrington and compare him to Gilgeous, because who just calls him Gilgeous? Imagine a guy on the broadcast calls him Gilgeous. You would never do that. So we have to compare each player's net rating to their team's net rating, because that's the context that really matters if we're looking for individual contribution. And unfortunately, the worst net rating on the Wizards is Bub. And as you know, the biggest contributor of the Oklahoma City Thunder, surprise, surprise, Shai. So if you were just a average ass player, just like standard middle of the road player who neither good, neither bad, your net rating would be 0. You would contribute to ties. If everyone on your team was a 0 net rating, the game would just keep going into overtime in a simulation. All right, we're almost done. PI, player impact estimate. So this is the new PER. Remember that giant ass formula I showed you? Here's a slightly smaller formula. I'm not even going to read you the definition, because basically what the definition is a cool calculation to decide who's good at basketball. But here's how player impact estimate is different. What it does is it actually estimates how good the player was in an individual game by measuring the stats in the game. So it's saying, in this game, in this context, who did the most? Who was the biggest contributor in the game? Which is pretty cool. So it's supposed to account for all the game's events. So if Giannis has the highest player, and it's a percentage. So if Giannis has the highest player impact estimate, and it's 21, the game's events, the rebounds, the assists, the blocks, the dribbles, the turnovers even, when you factor all that in, Giannis was 21% of the basketball. That's what it's trying to do. So if you were like, man, Giannis had a 21 pi rating today, you got to see a Giannis play. Versus, Giannis had a 15 pi rating today, you might be a little bit disappointed that you bought tickets to the game because you were looking for a whole lot of Giannis and you only got not as much as he would average. Versus Gabe Vincent, you might not even notice he's on the floor because he only got 4% of the events. Man, I hate to do it because I really like Gabe Vincent. Remember when he was hot? It's crazy coming off that finals as a free agent, him and Strus. They were the hot boys. They got big contracts, but good for them. Good for them. Hey, they got their money. I like both those guys too. And, Gabe could turn it around. I haven't given up. Dude, we're at the very end and I haven't plugged the Patreon yet. Oh my Lord. Well, if you made it this far, I have a $2 a month Patreon, but you get a weekly podcast. You pay once a month. You pay the $2. Your credit card gets charged, but then every Saturday you're getting a 40-minute plus podcast. Did you get how? Someone pointed out it's 50 cents a podcast. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to me mansplain. And remember, be good to your mothers. And men lie more than women.